Hi friends, welcome to OFA Studies YouTube channel. In this video, we are going to discuss about how to integrate a custom function as tool into our AI agent. So before watching this video, I would strongly encourage you to watch my previous videos in Develop AI Agent playlist because all the videos are in sequence. You need to watch them in the same order to understand more. At least watch the first video and then you can watch this third video. Okay. So let me still quickly give you a kind of a understanding what is agent and all, and then we will jump into this. So if you have seen my previous videos, by this time you already know that agents will basically use something called tools to accomplish your task. So let's assume I have a agent here. So what is agent? AI agent, it's actually software service. Okay, it's a service. Imagine like it's a software service. Okay. So now what this will do, what this agent will do, it will try to use something called tools and it will accomplish your task. And this side user will interact with agents in natural language. Okay, so maybe I will interact with the agent saying I have an agent for the uh, climb, I mean maybe expenses climb in my company. So I will interact with the agent and ask tell me what is the climb limit. Then it will tell. How it will able to tell? In the tools it will have the knowledge of, my claims policy. Okay, so claims policy document, hence it will be able to tell me. And then I will ask maybe submit a claim for me in the system, then it will submit. How that will happen? In the tools maybe it will have some action or some program or some function added there, or that will run and try to submit your claim into the system, into the backend database. So basically if you see here from the user point of view, everything is happening in a natural language, like how we interact with artificial intelligence in chat gpt. But this agent, this AI agent, what it got created, it is handling the task. It is taking the decisions what to do, and then it is handling the task and giving back the response saying, right, okay, I got your climb limit, this is your limit, I submitted your climb into the system, this is the link. So it is performing the task here using the tools, and then it is giving the response back in a natural language again. So this is called agent. Okay, so now if you closely observe, the agent need tools to perform the task, right? So keeping this in mind, in this video what we are going to do, in our previous videos, as a tool we have used something called code interpreter. We haven't written any code, so we use that inbuilt code interpreter. What that will do, it will understand what task I am asking it to perform. It will write the code automatically on the fly, and it will execute the code and perform it for me. But now this video I want to write my own code, so I want to create some custom function by my own, and that I want to use it as a tool to the agent. How to do that? Let's try to understand that. So let me go back to my OneNote. And if you see here, right, sometimes the same explanation, right? Sometimes agents needs to perform certain task which need for us to write the custom code, because maybe the code interpreter will not help there. So maybe we have to write our own code, maybe that has access to our company's database and do certain job for us, right? Sometimes we need to have such kind of a facility for us to write the code and give it to AI agent as a tool to use it when somebody interacting with it. So in such case scenarios, I can write a function and I can give it to my agent to do that. If you see this diagram here, this person maybe wants the weather information, and this person interacting with the AI agent here and requesting to provide me the weather information. Now my AI agent should able to provide that weather information, but it don't have it, right? So there is some API. Assume there is some API available outside. So that API give the weather information. So agent will invoke that API. Thereby it will get the weather information back, and that weather information will be given to the end user in a natural language back. So if you see this whole diagram, the agent is using some other API to invoke here to make sure the task done here. So that means maybe that API or that function or that program is a tool for the AI agent here to accomplish the task. So if you see like what are what are different types of the facilities we have for the AI agents inside the AI Foundry agent service to provide them as a tool. One is custom function. That means like you can write your own function or you can own program and give it to AI agent to run it. So AI agent will take a decision when to run it and it will run it. Or maybe you can create a Azure function and you can give that to AI agent to execute it, take a decision according to what user is asking and run it. Or you can make some API call. You can use open API specifications of the API and you can give that to the agent as a tool, and agent will invoke that depending upon the task what user asks. Also, you can use Azure Logic Apps. If you have a Logic App and you want your AI agent to use that Logic App as part of executing some task, then you can give that as well. But in this video, we are going to focus on this custom function. So I'm going to write my own function, and that function I will give it to AI agent to use that function and take a decision when to run that to perform a task. For example, if you see here this particular code here, so from here to here, right, it is a function, it's a Python function which named as a recent snowfall. So it will take a location as an input to the function. It will return the JSON back by the location and how much the snowfall happened there. So assume that this function I have coded it. If you see here, it's a hard coded data right now. But assume that I have some program that can do that. That can get for a given location what is the snowfall, and it can return me the result back. So this whole function I create as a Python function. Now I want to take this function and give it to my AI agent to run it whenever a user asks for the snowfall details, right? So how to give this? So the moment you have your function ready, if you see here, your function you will be declaring as a callable here. So first you created a function here. So from here to here, it's a function in a Python, and it is returning a JSON here. Then you are creating a variable called user function, and for that variable you are setting a callable function. So you see this callable. So if you don't know what is callable, try to watch some Python video, or I will do one Python video to explain what is callable. So basically, when you use callable, you can basically make your function as a callable. So basically, with this variable, I can refer to my function. So here dot 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 means this user functions is any function which is callable, which can take any number of parameters input, and it can return anything. So this is like a definition, function definition. So what I'm telling, user functions is a variable that is that that points to some function which can take any number of variables as input parameters, and it can return anything. So now inside of it, I am using my recent snowfall function name to it. So that means inside the user functions, now I am storing my recent snowfall as a callable function. Once I do that, what I will be doing it right in my main code, I will take that user function what I have created here, which holds my function, that I will give it as a function tool to create a function, and then that function tool I will add it into the tool set of the AI agent. The moment I add that function as a tool set, now from that time my function or my AI agent knows that I have this function in the hand. Whenever user asks me something, maybe I can invoke that function to accomplish certain task. So my AI agent knows that. So to do that, all these steps are here. So once that is ready, you see that the tool set what I created, ultimately I am using it here when I am creating the agent. So by doing that, when you create agent, you are basically attaching your function, your custom function as a tool to the AI agent. From that time, your AI agent can take that and execute it depending upon what user is asking. So let's try to see this in a practical way so that it will make more sense. So for that, this Git repo has a code already. So we are going to use the same code. It's a Python code, and we will try to do that. So let's see basically what AI agent we are going to build is, it's let's assume it's a IT support AI agent. So we are going to build something called IT support AI agent that will try to help engineers to submit their support ticket. Okay, and it will give them back the support ticket text file also. So assume that is what we have to do, and let's practically see this. So this repo, if I open it, right, let me open this repo. So this repo has certain files and folders here in the GitHub. So you can download it from here as a zip file. So I have already downloaded it and extracted it and kept on my desktop. So if I go to my desktop, right, you see this ms learn AI agent thing. So this is the folder where I extracted that zip file. And if I go inside of it, you need to navigate inside the lab files, and you see this one, third one, AI agent function. This is the folder that contains the code for you to try this example. So let's open this same location in Visual Studio Code as a Python project, and let's try to practically implement that AI agent of IT support. So I am going to Visual Studio Code and I am hitting file, and then I will be clicking the open folder. Desktop, I will go to the MS Learn, lab files, AI agent functions, Python, select that folder. So once you select, let me hit this yes, I trust. And once you see here, right now I have an environment file where I can keep the keys or configuration information. You know that from my second video already. And I have a agent.python file that creates the agent for us in the AI Foundry. And I have the requirement.txt file that will have the libraries which I want to install for this project to run. And user function.py file, this is the function which I create that will submit the support ticket. Okay, so this function is a custom function what I will write, and that function I will give it to the agent to use it as a tool and perform the task what customer is asking or the engineer is asking. So now let me go to the env file. So I need to provide my AI Foundry project endpoint here, and the AI Foundry project contained model deployment name here. So you know that from in our last video also we know that I have this AI Foundry created, which is called AI Mahir, and it has a project called first product. Now here let me refresh this here. I was trying it, maybe that is the reason you see that agent there. See, right now I'm inside the agents, so there is no agents here, right? Now if I go to the models place endpoints, you see this is the model which I am going to use for my agent. And as you know from my previous videos, agents needs model because your interaction with the user is going to be natural language. Model will understand that interaction and give the responses back. So my model name is GPT-4.1. Let me copy that. Let me go here and let me paste it here. So I got a model name. Then I have to go to the overview, and let me take this project endpoint here. I am copying the project endpoint here, and let me paste it here, the project endpoint. So you need to get your AI Foundry project endpoint and also the deployed model what you have, the deployment name here. Then let's try to create our function first. And if I go to the user underscore functions.py, this is where if you see there are certain libraries already there, and this callable, because we will create a function and we will make it callable. So that is the reason we have to import that callable library. And you see here this comment. So this is where we have to create a function that will submit the tickets. And once you create that function, you have to make it callable function. You need to define it as a set of callable functions. Thereby you can use it as a tool in the AI agent. So I will show you that. So I have the code ready for this already. I will give all this code inside in the video description also. You can take it. So let me copy paste this code from my OneNote. So you see here user functions.py. Let me paste this whole code here. Okay, and I will explain you this. So if I go here and let me paste this, and if you observe this code carefully, so first thing is create a function to submit a support ticket. So we are creating a function here. Let me remove this tooltip and let me zoom this here. So we are creating a function. My function name is submit support ticket. It will take email address as a string, and also it will take a description like what is your issue, give me the description. And it will return the string back. If you see here, right, it will return the string back basically. Okay, and inside the function we have something called script directory. That means the directory where my script is running, where my agent is running. Then I'm generating some random ticket number using this uuid library, and I am appending that into the ticket name because I want to create a text file as a ticket basically, which contains the description, problem and everything. Then I'm composing a file path because the text file what I generate, it should come here into this folder. So that's the reason I'm composing all this path or navigation here. Then finally I'm generating a string which says support ticket, then support ticket number, then submitted by email ID, then the description what user gives, what is the problem, everything as a string, and finally I am writing it as a file into the my current project directory. Okay, so basically whatever the information the AI agent gets from the user, we are composing as a string and storing it as a text file here, and assume that that is the way of submitting a ticket. Okay, in real time instead of text file, you may be hit your support database and create a ticket there or make an entry there into that support database, right? And finally, I am returning this JSON back saying support ticket is submitted with the ticket number and all. So now my function is ready here. Now this function I have to create it as a callable function into this variable called user function. So I am creating a variable user functions which is a set type. The set inside a set it is a callable functions and I am using only one functions right now, one function right now. This is fine. So I created a function, I made it as a callable variable. Okay, this is good. Now let's go to the agent.py file. This is exactly same like what I did in my last video where I use a code interpreter, but this time I don't use a code interpreter. I will use this user function as a callable function as a tool to the AI agent. So all the code remains same. So I will not go in detail. Basically I have a libraries, then I will be okay. Or else let me copy paste the code first here to replace everything and let me explain you that. So let me go here. I have that agent.py file also. So let me copy paste this whole code and explain you this. Copy this, paste it into the agent.py file. Now what I am doing it basically here I have a set of libraries imported and set of libraries I am referencing here. Then I have a main function here which has some logic inside of it to create the agent. Then if name, that means if I am running this agent.py file, then this name variable is a special variable contains a value called main, then it will invoke the main function. So I am going to run this agent.py file, so main function will get invoked. And inside the main function what we have, let's see that. But before seeing that, we are importing these libraries, right? So we have to make sure these libraries are installed in my Python box. So let me open a terminal first. So let me save this chain code. So let me go here. Let me open a terminal, new terminal. And I hope you guys know a virtual environment because I want to run this project in a virtual environment. I don't want to do the libraries installation on the global Python what I have in my system. So I wanted to create a virtual environment, a small sandbox kind of a stuff. I want to install the libraries there. So let me do that. So for that I have to do Python space module hyphen m venv module and my hyphen env. So I am creating my virtual environment. The moment you do that, you see you will get a folder there in which you will have a scripts folder and you will have something called a active file there which will help you to activate this virtual environment. You see that you have a active file. So now to activate this virtual environment, before running that active command, you need to execute this to avoid error. So because if I try to activate it, I will get some policy error. I need to reset that policy here. So I did that. Let me try to write the CLS to clear the screen. So now what I have to do, I have to activate this virtual environment. So to do that, I will go into my env folder, scripts folder, activate. That is the PowerShell I want to run. So let me hit enter. You see here now my virtual environment is active. That is the reason you are seeing this here. Before it is not there. So now in this environment I want to install the packages and my packages are listed here requirements.txt. So let me do that. So maybe pip install -r requirements requirements.txt file. When I hit enter, it will try to install all these libraries. This library is needed to read the .env file configurations where I used my project endpoint and all. And this library is needed to authenticate myself with the Foundry service because I need to authenticate, then only I can create an agent there, right? So for that, so you can see that the library installment is happening. It is done. Installment is done. So let me hit CLS to clear the terminal. Now I can run this code. So let me make sure I have a .env with a endpoint and model name. I have the agent file ready. Now if I run, it will execute whatever I have it inside the main function. And let's see what I have inside a main function. If you see here, and one thing I need to install this Azure AI.agents library also because I am referring to that library, but I haven't installed. My requirement.cs file don't have that. So let me install that as well. So let me go to terminal here. So pip install Azure AI agents. So let me install that library also. Thereby this this library will be active in our code to consume it. So I think installation done. So let me type CLS to clear the terminal. Now let's examine the code here. So let me minimize this here. Now if you see here, I have a main function. Here I am clearing a console, that means this terminal window, whatever it has, let me clear it first. Then I am reading that project endpoint and deployment name using that .env package into these variables. Then we need to create something called a agents client class object first. This is the object that will help you to create the agent inside the Foundry service. So you need to create that object for that class, and when you are creating it, you need to give the project endpoint in which project you are going to create an agent, and you need to authenticate yourself using a default Azure credential. And in my case, authentication will work because the credentials what I connected to my Azure portal here, right? With the same credentials in my local in the command prompt, I used az.login Azure CLI to login uh, that pop up the window to authenticate yourself with the enter ID. I did that already. So I can show you that I can use a command called agent account space show. This will show that my login is already exist. You see my login is already exist. You see that email ID. So since you have that login already ready, the default Azure credential will refer my login from there and it will authenticate myself successfully, and it will create the agent client object for you. Once you have the agent client object, with that object, firstly the user functions what I created here, right? The user function, the custom function, what I want to give my AI agent. So that function I am adding it into the tool set here because I want to give this as a tool for my AI agent. And then finally, when I am creating a agent, I am using that as a tool set which contains my function. And I also gave a name for my agent as a support agent, and the deployment model, the same model what I referred in the .env file. And I gave the instruction you are a technical support agent. When the user has a technical issue, you need to ask them email ID, description. I gave the context to the AI agent like what it should do. It is very important to give this instruction. Then only your AI agent will behave accordingly. So this code will create a agent, and once that agent gets created, it will print that you are chatting with this agent. Go ahead and chat it. And then this while loop, make sure to have that conversation going on until you type quit. Okay, so that's what, enter a prompt or type a quit. If I enter quit quit there, then I am going to quit this loop of conversation what I am going to have with my AI agent, and come back here, and all the conversation history I am going to print it here, because AI agents will save all the conversation history whatever you are having in a stateful manner. So once I come back from the conversation, I wanted to see what the conversation I did completely. So I just printed that whole thing there. And finally in the cleanup, I am deleting that agent also. If I go here, if I go to my AI Foundry service, if I go to the agents, right now there is no agency here. So let me hit the refresh once again. So there is no agent here. But when I run this code, you will see one agent coming there. Okay, so let me hide. So this is there is some default agent, but this is not the one ours. Okay, so we are going to create a agent called support agent. So that agent is not there, but let's run our code and I will practically show you my agent will come there. So let me go here. So all this code is the same to same code what we have seen in our last video. So I'm not going in detail. And as I said in our last video, this code will always remain same. Only you need to play with this tool set. Maybe whenever you are referring something else, build the tool set accordingly and give that tool set to the AI agent client object, and accordingly your agent will get create, and change the instructions accordingly the behavior what you want for your agent. Rest all code remains always same. It will be same to same. Okay. So this is a boiler code given by Microsoft itself. So always refer the same code as it is. You don't need to play around with anything. Okay. So now let's run this agent.python file now. So I'm going to, one second, cls, let me, so Python space, I want to run the agent.py file. So let me run this and see what will happen now. So let's wait for the execution to happen here. What it will do now behind the scenes, it will connect to my AI Foundry and it will try to create my agent. The creation is happening right now. You see that you are chatting with a support agent. Why this is coming? That means behind the scenes, it taken my project endpoint and model names into this, and it taken my function also as a tool, and finally created this agent there. And that agent it created, and finally it is printing this here. If you see the while loop, enter a prompt. This is where my execution is stop now, because I have to input something here so that the conversation will happen. So if I go to my browser now, if I refresh, I should see that support agent there. See, I have a support agent. Now if I open this support agent, you see the instructions, whatever I gave, it is there here. and the name of the agent it is there, and the model also it is there. And also if you see, I have that support submit support ticket function also attached to it. Why that is coming? Because that's how I build the tool set and given my custom function to it. So even my custom function came as a tool here. Okay, so now my function is also provided as a tool here. So I can go and have a chat with my agent now. So I will say that I want I want to submit support ticket. So that's the conversation I'm having with my AI agent, and let's see what my AI agent will tell to me. Okay, what it is telling, of course, to help you submit the support ticket, I will need your email address and the description of the issue. So let me provide that. My email ID is mahirbasha@outlook.com, and my issue is my laptop has heating issues. So let me enter this and let's see what will happen now. So now agent has to respond to this prompt, and it should invoke my function what I created to submit the ticket, and it should be returning back the message. You see that your support ticket has been submitted. The ticket file is saved into this text file. Our team will review regarding your laptop heating issue. If you need further assistance, feel free to ask. And you see the ticket whatever it created a text file here, and you see it has the issue description. So in my case, it created a ticket here as a text file, but in reality, it may be hitting a database and entering some row there as a support ticket request, right? So, and now when I quit it here, as I say, the moment I say quit, it is going to print all this conversation history to me, and also it is going to delete the agent. So let me hit quit. You see, I got the conversation log completely, and the agent also got deleted it. Now, if I go to my browser, if I refresh it, I will be not having my agent there. You see, the support agent got deleted. So I hope you got a sense how to write your own function. To quickly recap, write your own program as a function here, and then get that as a callable function and use that into the tool set that will do your job here in the tool set, right? So that way you can write your own program and give it to agent to execute it whenever user ask is relevant to executing that task. So I never told to agent to execute my function. I just gave it. Agent is deciding based upon what user is asking whether to invoke that function or not. That is the reason we call these AI agents as a autonomous decision making agents. Okay. So thank you for watching. Have a nice day.